Cody's opening.
We can get started at 4:30.
Told you.
Hey, Paul. Being efficient, right? There you go. All right, I do have 4:33, and at this time, we will call the meeting of the Kansas City Commission to order. And with that, Mayor Pro Tem, would you lead us?
Yeah. Heavenly Father, Lord, we just thank you so much, Father. Just thank you for showing up this morning and giving us a nice, cool, wet snow to kind of dampen the potential wildfire threat. And we're grateful for that, Father. We're grateful for all that you do for us. Thank you for the continued protection of the men and women that work here for the city of Canyon and also for our citizens. And we thank you for all that you do for us. God, be with us as we make decisions about the future of Canyon tonight, and help us when we mess it up. In Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Takes us to the approval of the minutes of the meeting of February 18th, 2025.
And no corrections, I move approved.
Second.
Motion second to approve the minutes as written. All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. Opposed, like sign. The motion passes. Okay, public comment, comments from interested citizens. Gretchen, do we have anybody signed in?
Nobody has signed in, Mayor. We do have a couple of interested students here from WT, so welcome to you all.
Very good. Welcome. Then item number 6, update on Public Safety Bond Committee progress. Megan?
So we're rocking and rolling right now. I don't know if y'all saw, we did media tours yesterday. So we did behind the scenes tours for our media partners of the facilities, and we actually took them through police, through fire. We took them upstairs and downstairs and all the stairs in between. 10 and 4/14 both did stories last night. And I'm waiting on the stories from the Canyon News and Amarillo Tribune to come out because they were both also present. We have been pretty active in the media. If we're not posting something on social, so Facebook, Instagram, things like that, then we are in the news somewhere doing something. So we're still very active and in front of people. On Monday, or it was either Friday or Monday, whenever water bills went out, we had the first set of water bill inserts go out. That went out to, we did 3,600 physical bills this month for March. That varies month by month depending on new services, if people sign up for digital, things like that. And then on the 19th of last month, we did direct mailers, which went out to all of our physical addresses. And those went out to 5,300 accounts. And so both of those have gone out. I'm able to track the QR code that is on both, or just about everything that is going out to all of our residents right now. And we have seen an uptick in scans when people are receiving physical mailers. The bond website is number 5 for top pages on our website right now. So that means it's the 5th most visited page on our website. The first is obviously our homepage. Police, the CAP, and utility billing are right in front of that. But again, those are very popular just year-round. We'll be doing Women in Business tomorrow, and so that will be with the Chamber of Commerce, and the full video is out. So that went out on Facebook, it's on the website, and it will be in all of our presentations moving forward. I emailed y'all the outreach calendar that I have. That is finalized and ready to go. And we'll talk a little bit more as these events get closer about who will be attending each one. That way we just make sure that 2 of y'all are at each one. Questions?
I'll be speaking tomorrow with Chief Quinn. Hopefully he'll be there at Women in Business. Obviously Megan will be there too, to make sure I don't get out of line.
The hardest job of all.
And Gretchen told me yesterday to go back to my office, so I did.
Well, any other questions for Megan? So,
On top of that, I was talking to the bond council, and they have provided us with I just wanted to kind of go over this slideshow. It's really important that we keep in mind of what we can and cannot say as employees, as elected officials. So they had this little slideshow. I'm going to send it to you because there's a lot more information that what I'm going to go over would take too long. The first part of it goes over pretty much calling the election and what's required by bond council, the proposition. It talks about how important it is that we lead an information-only campaign for this. We cannot advocate for any of this as a city commissioner or a city employee. You are allowed to say whatever you want as a citizen, but how do you take that hat off? Because everybody knows you're a commissioner, so you need to be very careful of how you address that. And that's the same for our employees. Even with Facebook, if you identify yourself working for the city of Canyon and you're posting how great the bond would help Canyon or whatever, you're identifying yourself as a city employee. And that's actually there's penalties for that. It goes in and it talks about using city resources, so that would be our email, it would be paper, anything that belongs to the city. If you're putting out a message through any of that, that's against the law. It talks about the Ethics Commission, how they administer and they enforce the rules that pertain to all of this with the Attorney General. There's good ideas in there about what possible advocacy would be. Anytime you say anything about, oh, it'd just be good for Canyon, you've advocated for the bond. We have to stay very factual. Megan has done a good job with all the website and all the materials going out. It's very factual. Her and I, and with the bond council, went through all of that. We changed some words, things like improvements, because that's a sales tactic that a lot of companies use. So she's done a really good job with all of that information going out. Now we just have to be careful about what we say as city employees. It talks about factual. It does go into political advertising. You would think what we're doing is considered political advertising. It is not, because we are staying factual. We're sticking to what the bond will provide, what the numbers are. It's not saying you need to vote, go out and vote. It's not saying any of that. It's just giving the facts to our citizens. If any of it said, this is why you should vote for it, that becomes political advertising. So again, that's where we have to be sure we're not stepping across the line on that. Just some things. I know we have a billboard out. They do consider that an uncommon form of written. I think since all we did is say, for more information, go to our website, that's where we're good with that. That's all it says with the billboard. We're just getting that, where to go to get that information. There's some problematic phrases that's in the PowerPoint. Social media, there is a disclaimer. If you are an employee or an elected official and you're not identifying as that, I kind of feel like this is redundant, because if you put this on your Facebook or statement, you're saying you're crossing the line, in my opinion. But that's what they said. It's not a personal, it's a personal opinion. Talks about public funds. And again, on our constitutional right, we have a right to say what we want to say. Just be careful of how you say it. One way to really think about it is if you're on the clock. Are you at a commission meeting? Are you speaking on behalf of the city? Is somebody, our employees, are they down in the business office and they say, oh yeah, the bonds can be great for us. Here, take this. We just have to watch and be mindful of where we're at and what we're doing. I know the mayor's in a hurry, so I'm trying to. We don't have a pack. It would be nice if we did. I have to be careful about that, but we don't. So the last slides just give you some takeaways on things that we have talked about this whole time. It's a good place to go back and look at reminders to ourselves of what we can and can't do. I know it sounds like we're taking away your rights to speak out, but especially department heads and people in our position and the elected officials, they're going to be looked at the most. But there's a lot of groups out there, Chuck and I have talked about that are looking just for anything to nitpick and bring to the attention of the Attorney General or the Ethics Commission. And it has happened to cities, so just with a simple word. Chuck, you have anything you want to add to that?
So I think it sums it up. You know, we've been over this before, and I think the PowerPoint will help. So you'll just take a look at it. Any questions come up, feel free to call. Call me or Gretchen or Joe, and we'll be sure and vet that question carefully and get it answered correctly. So in case of any doubt, just give us a call. And if we don't know the answer, we'll research it and get back to you.
And you've got the handouts that Megan's providing. You know, you can say, well, here, this gives you the information if you don't want to get into a deep conversation. The reason we're limiting just no more than 2 commissioners at a lot of these meetings is if we have a public meeting, then we're required to have minutes, and there's just a lot to it. So it's better just to keep those meetings at 2 or less commissioners to stay on the legal side of things.
It seems like the way this is coming down now is a lot of people just want to know what it's going to cover, what the money from the bond is going to cover, what it pays for, and what the impact is on the individual taxpayer. And that seems to be the focus of the inquiry at this point, which is all factual information and which can be disclosed.
As I said, I'll send this PowerPoint to each of you, and I'm going to send it out to our staff, and it's a great reference just for us to look at. If you have any questions. Do you have any questions?
Well, thank you all. And Megan, thank you for getting it out there and getting the word out there too. So we appreciate that. So.
That's all I have on that, sir.
Okay. Okay, that's an update only. So item number 7, consider and take appropriate action on resolution number 11-2025, resolution of the City Commission of the City of Canyon, Texas, canceling the May 4, 2025 general election of the City of Canyon, Texas, as permitted under section 2.051 of the Texas Election Code. Gretchen, I think you're doing this one too.
Yes, sir. At each of your seats, you'll see that there is a certificate of election, and that's due to being unopposed on the ballot. So we will be canceling that part of the election. Yay. So congratulations to all of you. I have included also the certification of unopposed candidates in your packets, which has to be presented to you before we can officially cancel the election, and then the adoption would move on. We cannot swear in until after the canvassing period in May. So you'll finish out your terms for this term, and then in May we'll swear you in, and we'll hold our election for the mayor pro tem again, just between all of you, to see who wants to be that. So I just recommend the adoption of resolution 11-2025, canceling the general election for May.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion, second, to adopt resolution 11-2025. And one thing I'll say in this, that we said May 4th, the resolution all is correct, but it's actually May 3rd. So this says May 4th there. So,
On where?
On the agenda.
On the agenda.
Oh,
so
okay.
but just correct, it is May 3rd.
Yes, it is.
All right, all in favor, signify by raising your right hand. Opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Thank you. All right, item number 8, consider and take appropriate action on bids received for sidewalk and alley improvements and utility improvements related to the CDBG Downtown Revitalization Project.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The work on the CDBG Downtown Alley project is progressing to the point that we're preparing to work on the city assets. That includes the water lines, the sewer lines, the manholes, the paving of the alleys and the sidewalks. An RFP was conducted for this work, and we received 2 bids. One bid was for $206,480. Another bid for $465,400. The original estimated cost for this phase of the project was about $380,000. Staff recommends that the bid for the CDBG Downtown Revitalization Project, sidewalk and alley improvements and utility rehabilitation be awarded to Scott Wampler.
So move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to accept the bid from Scott Wampler Construction. All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. Opposed, like sign. The motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, item number 9, here a presentation on the current progress of the 2021-2022 strategic plan.
Thank you for your time this evening. This is something that we try and do each year at the beginning of the year, and as everyone knows, the first week of March is the beginning of the year. As we're all wrapping our heads around all the work that's going on and everything that we've been busy with. So thank you to John for the reminder to come and give this update to the commission. I'm just going to pull up that document here. Excuse me. So that I can reference it. So this strategic plan was adopted, I believe, in 2020 or 2021. It is formally named the 2021 to 2022 City of Canyon Strategic Plan. This was a process that some of the commissioners sitting here today went through with city staff to identify specifically commission and city administration priorities. So we do have a comprehensive plan as a city that is a much broader document that sets the vision and tone for the city as a whole. That is a much more community-involved process. And that's where we talk about, like I said, a broad vision of here's where we want to head for housing, here's what we want to do for economic development, here's what we want to see downtown. And that's a much broader scope, really, like I said, involving the citizens. Coming off of that, the elected officials and city staff decided that a strategic plan would be helpful as a way to really focus in, using some of those goals, identifying the comp plan, but also what are the strategic priorities of the elected body and city administration, and that is what led to the strategic plan. We are a few years after the expected completion date here, but we've continued to use this document as a way to stay up to date on what those goals were and the progress of those goals. As a large overview, you can see in your packet, in the memo, there are 40 goals identified in the strategic plan. 27 of those are either complete and or ongoing. Some of those goals are not things you complete, they're just things that you maintain and you continue to work on. 27 of those are in that category, that's about 67%. There are about 8 of those that are in progress. And those would be things that would be hoped to finish up in this fiscal year and or calendar year. And then there are about 5 of those that have no progress. And we can kind of talk about why those might not have any progress. So looking first at goal 1, high performing city team, providing valued services. We've got a lot of completion in there. A couple of those others are pending our May 2025 bond election as far as where we go. That's kind of the next step. So we kind of highlighted that as far as our police station, City Hall, fire station, plan and bond package and election. Obviously, number 2 will be complete because that bond package is going out for election. Number 1, we'll have direction after that election. We'll have a clear direction of where we're going. Obviously, the police station's already been purchased. There's a lot of work that's already been completed to accomplish that goal. You'll notice that number 6 is one of our 5 no progress, and that really comes down to funding not available for the asset management plan. Are there any questions on any of the other goals? 15 is another one that's still in blue, in progress. Our HR policy development, I was talking with Hector this morning or yesterday morning, and he said that's something that he expects to finish this year. So any questions on strategic goal 1 and any of those items more specifically? Okay. Moving on to strategic goal 2, we have a sustainable community. There are several of these up here in blue that we're still working on. I know that we've got some director initiatives with our EDC. Stephanie's been hard at work with business attraction and developing more of a framework. I know that there's been a ton of progress made there, and there's a lot more formalized documents now when a business comes in that we can provide them with kind of a list of options, and those are things that can continue to improve as we get better in that way. Water conservation policy and program, I know there's been some initial progress. I've got 2025 completion date on there. I hope Chris has it on his too. Maybe this is the first time he's hearing that due date. Sorry about that if so. But that's something I know has already been in the works and that there's been conversations about that.
Commission, sure then.
Yeah, so we've got a conservation plan that we have to submit through TCEQ. We maintain that. It's submitted every 5 years. As far as policy goes, that's where we'll have to have further discussions, figure out what kind of policy we want to institute on that.
So with that, are we addressing things like whether you would go with all like native grass turf or Bermuda grass? Are we addressing those sort of things like with new construction? Are we looking at that or xeriscape or?
Yes, I think those would definitely be components of a water conservation policy. More so than that would even be just looking back at our conservation, what our water conservation policy is. I know if you walk into planning and development, you can still have a handout that we're technically in yellow zone 2 or whatever it's called that limits your watering days. We've not enforced that obviously in a while, but formalizing those drought contingency plans and things like that of tracking our rainfall, tracking our water system, and saying, hey, you're going to have these reduced watering days. As far as planting options go, we do allow xeriscape, but we don't require anything at this point. So we've had a lot of our commercial
sort of things
businesses
we have talked about, and whether
requiring
there be a possibility that we might go down roads like that at some point.
That's certainly something I think we can bring the options forward on, and then let that be a policy decision for this elected body. Absolutely.
2 different policies, drought contingency.
Different things.
Water
Sure.
conservation, 2 different policies.
That's
There is some interrelations.
Yes.
Sure.
Water conservation is more kind of like what you were saying on trees and guidance and things of that nature.
What we want to do every day, all day long. And, we got into that with, when we were in the water restrictions, we moved to those stages and we odd and even watering. And that's something we think that a lot of people have adopted and doing, but it's still kind of it's in the plan that Chris is talking about.
That's drought contingency.
So we need to pull it over here and have our own plan for just life in Canyon. This is what we're trying to do to conserve water.
Right.
And that would be, we would put odd and even watering, or those type of things that you're talking about, Gary, over there into its separate plan. Because we got into that when people were like, well, we've had plenty of water, we're not in the drought contingency plan. And so we want to clarify that.
Absolutely. And one of the little steps we have taken is that approved planting list for commercial businesses as far as trees. But we do have a lot of those businesses that it's up to, right now, like I said, it's up to them. Some still go with that tall grass fescue, but we do have a lot of more businesses now looking for those either Bermuda or xeriscaping options. So I think Tire Works did a great job. There's a section in the right-of-way on the east side of their sidewalk that has a really nice-looking stone in it now instead of trying to have that grass on both sides. So some of those things are going. I know Pondaseta, we've been working with them a lot, that when they finish out that site, there's gonna be a lot of xeriscaping type landscaping there. Wastewater master plan, that's one of the no action, again, for funding reasons. And then water rights and supply, I know that's something that there's been lots of conversations on, that your department has put together a lot of numbers, and I know that that's moving forward, so. Other than that, we have a lot of completed goals under that sustainable community section. Any other questions under a sustainable community? All right, so goal 3 is an alive downtown square. Obviously, number 3, our downtown theater revitalization, that's had no progress. You know, we've got some limited availability of what we can do there because it's private property. And then our brick streets, this is something that we have significant progress on as far as planning goes. Chris did present the brick streets initial report with our staff recommendations of where we want to prioritize, either putting new brick in or where we think it makes sense to go to asphalt, or some of those transition areas around downtown that we think stamped concrete would be a good option to maintain the aesthetic while really increasing the functionality and saving some money. One of the things we've done in that realm is a TA grant. That's going to be kind of working on downtown and engineering. And so I know we got a resolution supporting that. That was originally going to be due today. They pushed that due date to the 18th, and that's what we're applying to the Department of Transportation Rural and Tribal Assistance Pilot Program. They don't come up with short names at the federal government, but that will be for engineering costs to work specifically on downtown, and that would include the brick streets component.
$750,000, so we're hoping that'll get us a long ways.
Any questions on goal number 3, Alive Downtown Square? Okay, and then the last one, we've got goal 4, which is your hometown, a special place to live. So we've got 10 goals here. Most of those have been completed. I know number 5 is a big one that we're talking about. We've gotten concerts happening out at Lumberyard, special events happening out there. Number 8, we've got some decorative lighting and traffic signals. Some of that is something that we can't move forward on due to funding. Some of it is something we're trying to move forward on, especially in the pedestrian lighting world. So we've got 15th. You can kind of see a little preview of what that streetscape is going to look like outside the roadway with Tire Works. Nice landscaped area with trees, sidewalk. In that other landscaped area outside the sidewalk, there will be pedestrian lighting. And that'll kind of act as another way that we can signal to everybody that's your entrance to downtown. And those will be decorative lights. We've found a great provider that provides some very actually affordable pedestrian and street lighting. And we can even get decorative street signs and everything to match to really kind of enhance the experience for people who are coming into downtown through Hunsley. And then once they get downtown, we'll include those updated lights as something that we upgrade to make sure everything looks consistent and clean.
You might mention the lack of curb there at this point in time, why there's no curb on Tire Works?
There's no curb on 15th Street because there has not been ever before. And so that's something that at the point when we may rebuild that street, we'll have our engineer perform a drainage study there and determine on what type of edge makes the most sense for that asphalt. That was part of our design solution there, was providing the wider landscape strip on the street side so that when the city of Canyon comes through and rebuilds that street, either for bike lanes or the entire street, we've got room to kind of tie in whatever needs to go there. If it's lay down curb, if it's our traditional 6-inch curb, whatever makes sense engineering wise, that will come when the street's rebuilt.
Focus the bike trails, is there any thing there as far as working on easements?
I can report on that. 2 summers ago, we had, in the spring and summer, we had great success with Chris Potsimony. We went out to WT. We went to WT twice, met with John Pipkin first, and then we got the whole WT crew out there, vice presidents and all kinds of people. Stan Pena was out there, lots of people, to do a walkthrough to get across back behind the trees, which would be the east, away from the horse center itself. Chris really felt like that was a potential. It was a mess at that point in time because that was right after the floods, but they felt like we could get through there. WT kind of put that ball back into Chris's court, get him some designs, do some things. After we had that meeting, we waited a few months and sat down with Chris again, and we talked with him, and he felt like that in order to move forward, he wanted us to get the connector, which would be to WT. And I have checked on the connector as far as from the horse center to WT. And I've checked on that. We will not be traveling down the railroad right away. That's evident. And there are multiple property owners along there. And I know specifically a couple there that would be very difficult to, I don't think we would get a crossing there. So we're at a sticking point there on how to make that next round.
Enough to possibly go down the creek.
The only other thing would be to cut back down and go and try to cut through that with multiple landowners again.
Helen Campson's
And,
property in that area, I think.
Cut through there and down by what we'd call Dairy Road, what you and I would call Dairy Road,
Valley View.
in that area.
Yeah, tie it back into Valley View.
So we kind of hit a roadblock there. I have talked with John Poole about going and looking at a connector possibly from Paul Lindsay Park out Hicks Road, where we've got our line that runs along there. That would be along Peckerwood Farms, between Peckerwood Farms and Buell Martin's property. That's the two pieces of property there. I've just got to get out there and drive that with him and see what that looks like, to see what that might be. So that'd be a non-connecting leg, but it'd be another leg. It'd be an opportunity for somebody to ride out. I'm not sure how far that goes. We might have.
One we'd have to get easements on too.
Well, we would already have, for sure we have
Sewer line easement.
a sewer line easement. I don't know what other type of easement we would have. Before I looked at it, I wanted to ride that with John in the green truck and just see if that's doable. Part of that is double fenced. Each property owner has a fence. John tells me that it's not that way the whole way. I haven't seen that. Where I've seen it by Buell's property, Buell's got a fence, and Deckers have a fence, and our pipe is running down the middle, which would kind of be an ideal situation. He tells me it doesn't go all the way, so that's my next goal for this spring. Is I'm just jumping to an odd situation there to see what else we could do. So that's kind of where we are on
I
that.
think we probably will sit down with Ms. Campsey and see if, one of the requirements WT is gonna have on us is we'll have to put up a fence. Isn't that correct? On the WT property?
Yes, we would have to have a fence on
We'd have to
WT
have a
property.
fence to
Plus, we
separate
have to have a
the
bridge
over there
to get across the
road.
creek. And then it's a little complicated. You'll have to go under the railroad overpass. You have to get onto Hunsley to get over to wherever we're going. And if we take it all the way down to the Campsey's property, that'd be a long way on Hunsley before you got moving south at that point in time. So we've got some ideas, but
Yeah, I think we can get all the way down Hunsley, and then getting from Hunsley back over is the challenge. Back over to WT, and I don't know. We'll just have to have some
if
conversation.
nothing else, hit the spur. If I can hit the spur, then I can get you on 38th. And maybe might have to ride some streets there, but I could get you to Paul Lindsay fairly easily. Without too many easements.
Right, yeah. Well, thanks for continuing.
We're trying, and it's also knowing that maintenance, knowing that what it's gonna take if we put something in to take care of that.
What else? Any other questions on the last 10 goals there? No action requested here, just an update. Until you inform us all that you'd like a new strategic plan. We'll just keep using this one.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lucas. Appreciate it. Item number 10 is consider and take appropriate action, approval of the purchase of a truck for the water department. Well,
Yes, thank you. This year's budget does include $54,500 for the purchase of a water truck, or a truck for the water department from the capital equipment fund. This truck was purchased for about $26,000 less than what budgeted amount. They do now have another truck that needs transmission work that's estimated to cost about $9,000. So either pay for that work, or they believe that they can purchase another truck for that remaining $26,000 remaining in the budget. Because these two purchases could potentially be interpreted as one purchase over $50,000, we are bringing it to the commission for authorization for that purpose. And staff recommends that the commission authorize the purchase of a truck for the water department for an amount not to exceed $26,008.87.
have a motion, second. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Okay, item number 11, consider and take appropriate action on resolution number 10-2025. Resolution to the City of Canyon, Texas, finding that the statement of intent of Atmos Energy Corp., West Texas Division to change rates filing within the city should be denied, finding that the city's reasonable rate case expenses shall be reimbursed by the company, finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed is open to the public as required by law, requiring notice of this resolution to the company and legal counsel. Joe?
Yes, this is another rate case with Atmos. They had requested a $66.1 million increase in base rates, which is about $16.60 and some change on the average customer per month. They have requested that we go ahead, our legal counsel has requested we go ahead and deny it. Gretchen and I were both informed, I think this week or last week? Last week. They have reached a settlement. That's not completely finalized yet. We have received that, but they did recommend to go ahead and deny. So this resolution would be to deny the original $66.1 million request. And so we suspect that we will be back shortly to agree upon a settlement. And that settlement's going to be at least half of that number, if not a little bit less. That's what we have been informed of.
And that's reached with our consultant, right?
Yes,
The Austin.
yes, they're, I can't remember their name, Lloyd Gosselink, their rate case attorney. It's not the same attorney that we use for Excel rate cases. All the other cities team up to do these, so Atmos West Texas is this group, and so we do this all together. As our original jurisdiction allows. But at this point, we would recommend denial.
I move that we adopt resolution number 10-2025 as presented.
Have a motion and second to adopt the resolution. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Okay, that takes us then to exec session pursuant to 551.071, consultation with attorney, 551.072, deliberation about real property, and 551.087, deliberation regarding economic development negotiations. And with that, I have 5:12, and we will adjourn into exec session. So, thank you all. I made it, yeah.